national anthem, and for that I'm sure that we have the music ready for the national anthem. May I ask that we just stand for the singing of the national anthem. Thanks. Are they going to lead it in for us? No, that's not that one. Neither that one. There we are, thank you. I am sorry, but can I interrupt them, please? I'm sorry, it's not that one interrupts the national anthem. But can we ask them to start the national anthem from the beginning, please? Thank you very much. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the program, or the problem of a program director, is always that you feel inclined to do the welcoming and to do some introductions of our dignitaries, and then that gets replicated a number of times on the program. But please still do allow me just quickly to welcome you all here at this wonderful opportunity tonight on behalf of the Department of Social Development, in particular as the government partner, as represented here tonight by the Premier himself and MEC Khoza. Premier, MEC, thank you very much for your presence. We acknowledge you here this evening. Thank you. Also then, the partnership always requires another partner, obviously, and that in this case is the eLAN Foundation, and Blythedale Development as the project that is going to serve as the incubator, if I can call it that, for this Shift Africa program and for the launch that we're having here tonight. And there I would like to acknowledge the presence, firstly, of Mr. Mark Taylor and Mr. Chobani as the two partners of Blythedale, but also on the side of Shift eLAN, we're going to have one of the founding members and person who's going to speak on behalf of the eLAN Foundation, Mr. Tami Ngwenya, who's also going to talk on behalf of that. We'll do some of the other recognitions of the dignitaries as we go on, but for now, I really believe that I should also just recognize the fact that we have here with us Mrs. Fikile Maseko, and Member of Parliament, as well as Ms. Zinhle Cele, Member of the Provincial Legislature. that we have here, we also recognize your presence here. Councillor Shandu, as the Mayor of iLembe, Baba Mayor, siyanibingelela bonke, siyajabula ukunibona la namhlanje. Ngicabanga ukuthi kuzoba kuhle masinithola nina lonke la kwele event ngabo, siyabonga. I think the other event or the other recognition I must make here, as I'm starting to use a little bit of my Zulu, is Inkosi Dube, also placed on the table, because you'll see as the evening progresses that the project is very much also a different partnership, and there are a number of stakeholders involved, and the Dube Traditional Council, represented here tonight by Inkosi Dube, a very important partner in this particular process. And we'll also later on, I'm not sure, I haven't seen them, the representatives from the Zwelabantu Dube Communal Property Association as the land reform beneficiaries, but we'll do that recognition then with your permission a little bit later. Ladies and gentlemen, I think with that we'll do the others as we move on. If we can get onto the program, I think the welcoming remarks, which I really did not want to do on behalf of anybody else, but is always the pleasure of the resident mayor, and in this case, the iLembe District Mayor, Councillor Shandu. May we ask you to come up and do a formal welcome to all your guests here this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Program Director, Mr. eLAN Friki. Greetings to the Honorable Premier, Mr. S. Zikalala, MEC for Department of Social Development, Mrs. N. Khoza. Greetings as well to the Member of Parliament present. Greetings as well to the members of the legislature who are present here. Greetings to Inkosi Ungobo present here. Greetings to the eLAN Property Group, Mr. Mark Taylor, the Shifts Africa Partnership, Mr. Mngobi Duma, eLAN Foundation, Mr. Nathi Ngwenya, Enterprise iLembe Management Team, You Can Grow Foundation, Mr. Steve Kaver, the Circular Economy, Mr. Chris, Windlands Trust, Mr. Rudy Kloppers. Ladies and gentlemen, and all speakers present, good evening. The iLembe District Municipality is located between Africa's busiest ports of Richards Bay and Durban, and is in proximity to the King Shaka International Port and the Dube Trade Port. It is the smallest district municipality in the province with a total of approximately 657,000 population. The municipality covers 3,260 square kilometers and is divided into 4 local municipalities, namely KwaDukuza, Mandeni, and Dwedwe. iLembe's economy is significantly constituted by various sectors, and these include agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, construction, and property development, as well as financial and business services. iLembe faces numerous economic challenges, such as high level of unemployment, such as high levels of poverty, especially in rural inlands, which contracts with rapid development along its coastal region. The district, together with family of local municipalities, have been proactive in developing interventions to facilitate local economic development in response to the high rates of unemployment and correspondingly high levels of poverty. This initiative of Shifts Africa lends itself to also addressing some of these challenges and is closely aligned to our vision as the district municipality that by 2030, district municipality will be a sustainable, people-centered economic hub providing excellent service delivery and quality of life. I say this having looked at the anticipated massive regional benefits which this program highlights as a focal point in uplifting the lives of our people of this region. The key being training, skills development, mentorship, and entrepreneurship opportunities. Program Director, the commitment shown by the eLAN Group and its associated partners to work with the local people is highly appreciated. However, I ask you to please consider that the geographical spread of eLembe district, which starts from Mandeni in the north to the south boundary of eThekwini Metro, extending inland to the more rural municipalities of KwaMaphumulo and Ndwedwe. These rural also need to be considered for employment and business opportunities. We also acknowledge and appreciate the fact that our Economic Development Agency, which is eLembe Enterprise, has been part of this initiative since the inception, and we encourage you to continue working with them in order that the aims and objectives of the Shift Africa program are aligned to that of our government mandate to grow the region's economy. The partnership that we have created with local stakeholders, such as Welabantu Dube Communal Property Association, which is predominantly African-owned. This is important because it shows that you indeed are committed to uplift their lives through skills development, which will capacitate them to run their own business in farming and manufacturing. Government and the private sector within eLembe district remain committed to partnering on specific initiatives that will aid the viability and growth of small and medium enterprises and secure investment in key economic sectors and geographies in our districts. Our Honorable President, in his recent State of the Nation address, emphasized that red tapes for business initiatives should be removed and that the support of public-private partnership in a bid to empower communities and enables them to easily enter into business must be prioritized. I therefore, in this regard, regard this as a step in the right direction to eradicate poverty in our communities and to sustainably grow the district's economy. With these few words, I welcome you all in our districts. Let us strive to work together to make eLembe a better place to live, work, and play. I thank you.
I trust that you all feel welcome after those welcoming words. Mayor Shandu, thank you very much for that. And thank you also for reminding us here this evening, I think very appropriately so, that this is the district of two halves, or as our former president, Thabo Mbeki, referred to as a very dual economy. Coastal area of affluence and an inland area of absolute abject poverty. And that's exactly what Shift Africa is intended to address, is to bridge that divide that we have and to try and bring people closer together. Also, just in the briefing with the Premier a little earlier, we were reminded again of the priority that we have in government of ensuring that we grow a shared economy, that it is just not an economy of having the haves have more and the rest. So, Mayor, I'm sure that as we feel welcome, we're also privileged to have this program launched in your district. Although you may be geographically the smallest, you are a very significant district in this province of ours, located between what used to be, ladies and gentlemen, the two largest, busiest ports in Africa. I'm saying used to be, because we've slipped down that order. And with what we're doing in between here, will certainly help also to get us back into that position on the world map. So, Mayor, thank you very much for those words. I, as I said, do not want to do any further specific recognitions before we have not given the person that has been tasked to do so the opportunity. I'm told that the HOD for social development could unfortunately not make it back in time from a commitment that she has had in Mkanyakude, but that Dr. Kaba, I was told, was going to do it. I'm not sure. I haven't seen my former colleague, Dr. Kaba, here. Is Dr. Kaba in? Not. Then, is there a change? DDG. Well, yes, DDG Mhlongo, the other DDG in the department. So I think from a gender perspective, probably a much better call than Dr. Kaba. So DDG Mhlongo, we hand over to you. Thank you. Let me just wipe this for you. Nkosi did mention that we're having some challenges as far as the differential heights are concerned here. So we'll sort that out.
Thank you very much, Ricky. Good evening to the Premier of the Province, Mr. Sihle Zikalala, our MEC for Social Development, Mama Khoza, the Mayor for the District Municipality, Ilembe, all protocol observed. You know what has just happened when Mr. Brooks was talking here, it's what men are complaining about, that we are taking over. So we had a colloquium in the department and men are saying we are angry because more opportunities are coming for women. So even now, when Mr. Kaba get lost, you know, this DDG Mhlongo just comes up to take the opportunity. Thank you. My greetings to all of you colleagues, and mine is a very small one. I've just been requested to do a purpose of the event and also to acknowledge our guests that are here. I just would like to start with our Honorable Premier, Mr. Sihle Zikalala, who's in the midst with us. Thank you very much for honoring our event. Siyabonga kakhulu KZN. I would also like to acknowledge Mrs. Khoza, our Honorable MEC for Social Development, that is also in the midst. Siyabonga kakhulu, Mam Khoza. We also have Ms. Masiko, the Member of Parliament, who's the whip for the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth and People with Disabilities. Siyabonga kakhulu, Mama Umasiko. We also have a Member of Parliament in the province, Umamu Uzinhle Cele, who's the chairperson for COCTA in the KZN province. Siyabonga kakhulu, Ma'am. Also among us, we've got our Honorable Ubaba Ushandu, who has just welcomed us, who's the Mayor of Ilembe District Municipality. We also have the Councillor Umagwaza, who's a Deputy Mayor for Mandeni Municipality. My apologies, we also have Ms. Zulu, who's also from the KZN legislature. Siyabonga kakhulu, ma'am. Sinobaba Nkosi Udube, ophuma KZN House of Traditional Leaders. Siyabonga ndaba ezithela ukhona. We also have Mr. Tamis Tole from the Zululand Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Labe sibasondeza kakhulu ke laba ngoba sifuna lokho. We also have Mr. Dominic Collett, who's the chairman for KZN Business Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We also have Ms. Noktula Selamulela, who's the CEO for Food Bev Sita. We also have Ms. A. Mafulega, who's the CEO for Sector Education and Training Authority for the Financial Accounting, Management, Consulting, and other financial services. We also have among us Ms. Yoli Sandima, who's from National Development Agency, an agency that works with the Department of Social Development. We also have Ms. Noktula Zibi, who's the National Chairperson of the South African Youth Council. We also have Mr. Mngobi Duma, who's from Shift Africa Partnership. We also have Mr. Nathi Ngwenya from eLAN Foundation. We have Mr. Steve Carver from You Can Grow Foundation. We've got Mr. Chris White from the Circular Economy. We've got Mr. Rudy Kloppers, who's from Wildlands Trust. We've got Dr. Lumkile Mondli who's from Sanlam Alternative Funds. We have Mr. Moshe Motlogi from the Port of Richards Bay. We have Mr. Nkululeko Mthembu, the chairperson for youth at the Durban Chamber. We also have Mr. B.M. Jacobs, who's the principal for Umfolozi TVET College. We also have Mrs. Zanokuhle Ntombela, who's the vice principal for Isaidi TVET College. We also have Mr. Tulani Chefuta, who's the chairperson of the board, Public Service SITA, as well as Nedlek Community. We also have Mr. Tembungosi Josopu, who's the deputy chairperson, board, National Skills Authority. We are going to be introducing if more of our dignitaries come. Let me just go back to do a little bit of a purpose in terms of the reason why we are here and we have called all of you here. Colleagues, as a department, we are very excited today that as a department, we are also able to partner with eLAN Foundation as a contribution in terms of the growth of the economy of our country. We are launching this partnership today. As much as eLAN Foundation is more business-oriented, but in terms of their objectives, we felt that there is more that they are doing that is related to us, particularly because they are more in terms of economic empowerment, particularly to the youth, as well as vulnerable groups. We were also very much impressed by the fact that in terms of the program, they are also working with people at a local level, because that is very critical in order to ensure that at a local level, we ensure that the economy is localized in terms of their growth. As a department, we have a role in the growth of the economy, and it is therefore critical for us to ensure that particularly young people whom we have a challenge the most, because we have a youth bulge, and as a result of that, as a department, we deal a lot with young people that have got challenges in terms of gender-based violence, in terms of substance abuse, as well as some of the challenges, which also includes crime. We are therefore very much pleased that this partnership is going to ensure that we are able to mainstream our youth within the economy. And as a department, one of the critical issues that we feel that this partnership is going to assist us in is to ensure that we are able to create jobs. Because as we were signing a Memorandum of Understanding with the eLAN Foundation, one of the issues that was very critical is that we ensure that we are able to create employment for our young people, and we are also able to create business, because over and above the fact that they are going to be employed, we have young people that we have trained as a department in different skills. We partner with the different SITAs, we partner with NYDA, we also partner with the Department of Higher Education through the TVET colleges, and we are providing skills that we feel that are needed by the market, particularly in terms of the program that they are doing here. The skills that we are providing are going to be assisting a lot. As a department, we have got a role, particularly because we are a social development. So most of the programs that we are providing are more on the social part and more on the welfare part. But we have a responsibility of ensuring that our communities, over and above whatever that the state is providing them with, they are able to ensure that they are part of the development, and they are part of the business. So the partnership that we are currently having with eLAN Foundation is then going to be able to assist us as a department in order to ensure that we are able to achieve that. I also want to indicate that this partnership is, since it is a public-private partnership, is also going to be able to ensure that as a department, we are also part of the broader growth in terms of the economic activities of of the country, which is very critical in terms of ensuring that we contribute, as I said earlier on, in the provincial economic recovery plan of the province, which as all of us as different departments, we need to ensure that it does happen. So we are very much excited that we are having this partnership. We had a briefing earlier on, and we are very much pleased, particularly in terms of the issues that our Premier was raising, because that is going to ensure that the partnership that is going to have is not only going to grow our people, on the side, but it's also ensure that their potential is also looked in, and there is impact in terms of the services that they are providing, and we can be able to ensure that their lives are being changed. Basically, I think that's the main reason why we are here, and we are very pleased that this has managed to take off. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DDG Mhlongo, from the Department of Social Welfare, also just for acknowledging all the important dignitaries we have here and those that are partnering on the program. You can see that it is a big team that is being pulled together here. And as we acknowledge all of those that are here, we also wish to acknowledge the private sector the partners that are here through the business chambers. I see we've already introduced Dominique and his team also from the business chamber and the work that they do around here, because that's obviously what the partnership is all about. I think the important thing is that we hear the people that have put the program together from the eLAN Foundation. What is it that they had in mind, and to tell us a little bit more about what the eLAN Foundation is. And for that, we are going to call Mr. Tami Ngwenya to come up. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see that, and please, you'll see that refreshments are being served. And please, you are welcome to do so. We don't want you to be uncomfortable whilst we are speaking. But please just take care. I've seen some eager eyes focusing on this bottle. This is not the real McCoy. All right. So please, that one you've got to leave. That is a marketing product. It may make you very ill if you do indulge in this one. But you're welcome to order the real McCoy from the ladies that take the orders. So please just watch out for this one. All right. Tami, can you come up, please? Mr. Ngwenya, where there you are. I can't see you in the lights. You are in the spotlight. You good?
Thank you very much, Program Director. Warm greetings to our Honorable Premier, MSc for Social Development, members of Parliament present today. Thank you. Ilembe District Municipality Mayor, Inkosi Dube, Sita Executives, Captains of Industries, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nathi Ngwenya, and I'll briefly be taking you through eLAN Foundation, which is a non-profit that is a mechanism to raise funding in order for or to improve the lives of communities surrounding property development. And it's also a body which steers and manages social initiatives within the eLAN group and beyond. It is a Section 21 organization with 3 directors, namely Tami Kamanga, Mark Taylor, and Nathi Ngwenya. eLAN's Foundation's mission is to work towards improving the lives of local communities surrounding all property developments and projects. The aim of the foundation is to research needs and identify opportunities, to raise funds and implement projects at grassroots level, to uplift and improve surrounding communities within those property developments, to integrate projects as much as possible so that every effort has maximum gain, to work hand in hand with government and the private sector in terms of projects that share a similar vision. For an example, the Blyden Coastal Estate. To have strategic alliances within existing service organizations and to create business opportunities for previously disadvantaged individuals and communities through the intellectual capital of the eLAN Group and funding from both the government and the private sector. The main pillars of the eLAN Foundation are as follows: research, integrated human settlements, farming, environment, education, well-being, economic empowerment, and sports. And due to time constraints, and as I close my brief introduction of the eLAN Foundation, Honorable Premier and Honorable MEC, I'm sure you'll agree with me that this talks exactly to our country's triple challenge, which is poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nati, and my apology, when I sat down, I thought for a moment the reason why you responded slowly is because I called you Tommy. So I do not intend to change your name. I apologize. That's my mistake. Ladies and gentlemen, as we forge ahead, so that is then the introduction to the foundation that will be driving this program as the Section 21 company. And they are a foundation linked to the eLAN Group. And we have Mr. Msimang, Mr. Chobani Msimang, that will then introduce the eLAN Property Group as one of the partners in that eLAN Group itself. Chobani, over to you. I'm sure you can do a little better than that. I'm sure.
Thank you very much. Good evening to all, and thank you for gracing this event, this occasion. It's one of the momentous events in the calendar of business and the political space in KwaZulu-Natal. With that introduction, I want to take a small opportunity to thank the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, the MEC for Social Development, Mark Taylor, and as well as our Mayor for their vision and for understanding the hard work that is coming with the work that we're going to start from tonight. We are on site as we speak, and we are very excited that tonight all of you came here, you joined us, you made sure that this event is going to be what it is because you guys came here. I want you to give yourself a huge round of applause. When we were invited to participate in eLAN development by Mark Taylor, we got very excited. And at the time, we didn't know that developments come with a lot of hard work, a lot of stress and challenges. But immediately when we realized that we knew that we were up for it and that there were things that needed to be done in this country, and if there were people that were ready for that work in the corporate space, we were ready for that. And we took up the challenge, and we are excited that we joined an organization that has been operating in this province, in Western Cape, in Mauritius, and other places, and very well recognized for the work that they've done. For example, one of the projects that eLAN Development did is the President's Hotel in the Western Cape, in Cape Town, which, by the way, was opened by our late former President Nelson Mandela. And this was one of the projects that this company developed. Among other projects, with the place where we all sitting tonight is one of the developments that eLAN Property Group developed. And I am excited on behalf of our people in KwaZulu-Natal. I know there's Premier who's going to do that, there's the MEC that are going to do that. But as an activist myself, I'm excited that we have an opportunity in this country to change the landscape in the property space. And I don't want to speak politics because, as I said, there are politicians here, but we have an opportunity to change the property space. Over the years, that has been dominated by white people, and the fact that Mark Taylor, in his vision, has seen it important to bring people like myself and Duduzi Kumalo, the Ngobis of this world, and the whole team on the foundation side, to be part and parcel of what we're doing. One of the things that we asked when we joined eLAN Property Group was, there's a lot of this development that's happened in the country, and in most cases, it's the people that have a little bit of money to invest in these kinds of development that benefit the most over a period of years, because when you buy a house, obviously you leave it for your kids and your kids' kids and you name it. But the people that build and that make these kinds of places what they are, like if you look at this place, for example, it's one of the best estates in the country. You find that you'll have Simbiti this side or Zimbabwe this side of the road, and you'll have the squatter camp on the other side, which is mainly black populated. Shift Africa was one of the concepts that came on board to say, we need to change that, because there are programs in the government, there are opportunities in the government to make sure that these spaces are integrated, but not just integrated for the purposes of employment, but also for the purposes of making sure that if someone comes from Shaga's Head, for example, and he's a good bricklayer and he's been doing this for years working under somebody, he can be trained through these sitters, and in that process is no longer an employee or cheap labor for these kinds of projects. He becomes part and parcel, and he sets himself up through these programs and become a business person or a businessman or woman in the space of, in the area of bricklaying, in the area of plumbing, and you name it, you know. So the project itself with the foundation is meant to bring those divides, to make sure that somebody that comes on board from Shaga's Head and any other places around Stenga, for example, does not just become an employee or a laborer in the project, but also becomes part and parcel on the project, and they service the development over the years. With those words, I thank you all, and thank you very much for being with us tonight, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chobani. There you have it. And by the way, as I've reminded both Mark and Chobani a number of times, if it was easy, someone else would have done it long ago, right? So it requires people like you to drive it and to run with it. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that a number of you may know that I've crossed the floor from government to private sector, purely just in the sense that I couldn't stay at home and just drink coffee all day. It became a little bit too much. So for me, it was really exciting to become involved with some of the projects that I was involved with within government, and also to try and use a little bit of what I gained within government and to plow that back into the private sector to get this going. And this makes me really very excited. As Chobani says, the shared growth component of it, the transformational elements that we're seeing that happens through projects like this. Transformation doesn't happen anywhere in isolation. It has to happen in practice, somewhere. You've got to give it the opportunity. And here is a practice that we're seeing that is working very well. I'm sure that Mark is going to tell us more about that, but I also can't resist because of my own excitement. Just to say, I must also congratulate Chobani and his team for having succeeded in their application to be accredited as a social housing delivery agent. And in that sense, the Blythedale development is now typically one of those developments that you see, the inclusive development, where the social housing is not just shifted to one corner or on the other side of the freeway. It is actually integrated into the planning of the project itself. But over and above that, whereas there was originally just, this thing's maybe a little bit too loud, we're getting too much feedback here. If you can just one notch down, please, just on the sound. Upped the number. In the plan, initially 300 social housing units. Chobani and them came in and said, this can be densified and expanded. So they're applying what we refer to as the McDonald's principle, is supersize it, make it bigger, right? So 300 is now 3,000 social housing opportunities. And that's wonderful. That makes us all excited. But to tell us more about eLAN and what they're doing, Mark will tell you what his passion is for Shift Africa. We welcome Mark. Please let's give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Frikkie, and I think thank you very much the Premier, the MEC for Social Development, the Mayor of Ilembe, to Nkosi Dube, who represents our partners in the eLAN and Blythedale development. But I also want to thank a lot of people who work behind the scenes. Xolani Makwasa, who's done incredible work in helping us put all this together. Our team at eLAN, who've worked very hard. Ngobe Duma and the guys. Thanks to all of you for putting this incredible event on, and we really appreciate the hard work. If we can give them a big round of applause. Thank you. I'm going to try and summarize 19 years worth of, as Frikkie says, challenges and hard work into about 5 minutes. And then after I've finished, I think we're going to call on a few of our partners in the Shift Africa process that will talk for probably 2 or 3 minutes, literally just to introduce themselves and to show you that what we're really doing is coordinating the efforts of some incredible people who are doing some incredible work that are operating in this district and around. And by pulling these guys in, the Steve Carvers, the Rudy Kloppers, the guys like that are doing incredible, Chris White, and the guys are doing incredible work, what we're really doing as a developer and Shift Africa and the concept is bringing them all together to a focused initiative that will create lots of opportunities, lots of jobs, and lots of small businesses, which is really the objective of Shift Africa. So I'm going to try and take you through quickly in 5 minutes what we've been through in the last 19 years with Blythedale. So here we sit at Simbiti Eco Estate. 21 years ago, we launched this project. It was sugarcane fields, 320 hectares, and what you see today, 20 years later, we now, the project or the estate employs something like 5,000 people. A lot of the labor comes from across the road at Sharkers Head. But one of the things we realized is that what we're doing by creating this labor opportunity is not a huge solution to our country's problems. So we might have created labor for the duration of the project, was about 15 years or so, or created labor opportunities. But what's happened is those people have gone back to Sharkers Head or wherever they came from and have started again from scratch, looking for jobs again. So really the focus and what we try to do with Shift Africa is shift our mindset away from not only creating jobs, which is vitally important, but creating sustainable small businesses that have an offtake agreement with a development like a catalytic presidential project like Blythedale Coastal Estate. But just to show you quickly, so this was Belito or Simbiti 20 years ago, just sugarcane, just some of the pictures, and this is what will be happening with Blythedale. As Frikkie and the guys were saying, we've moved on to site, we've started construction, and it will go very quickly from now. So this was what it looked like, just to give you an idea of what the progress was. And this is what it looked like afterwards, where we are today. And it's 20 very quick years in our life, I guess. And simultaneously while we were doing this, and this is what Simbiti looks like now, just to give you an idea of what is possible. So just to go back to Shaka's Head on the other side of the highway, and I think you can see there's an aerial photograph of where Shaka's Head sits. And basically what we're trying to create is something like that, as opposed to, and Chobani spoke about integrated social housing, Frikkie spoke about it. We also realized that there's got to be an integration of social housing. And with that in mind, we went to Cape Town a long time ago, Tommy Kamanga and myself, to see the Minister of Social Housing. And we worked together to create a plan where we could integrate the haves and the haves not into an integrated commercial society. And what happened was she announced in Parliament that this would be her blueprint going forward for integrated gated communities. So to talk a little bit about Blythedale, I mean, it's probably one of the most magnificent pieces of estate up the North Coast. We've been working for a long time with Nkosi Dube and the Dube community who now own the land. We've got a development agreement with them. And what we've agreed with them is that over the course of the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to be paying a lot of money, but more than that, to the community. But more than that, we're going to be supplying the Dube community with a lot of jobs and business opportunities. So just to show you how beautiful this piece of land is, there's Princess Grant on the northern border with the Mshatan River, 3 kilometers of beachfront, the most incredible coastal forest, 320 hectares of forest that we intend to keep as a conservation area. There's the sort of outline that shows some of the, it's a total mixed-use development comprising residential, comprising retail. The resort development itself will host something like 5,000 people when the whole of Durban only hosts 12,000. So this will be a sun city on the beach. So this is a summary of the opportunities that exist for the community. 110,000 temporary jobs, that's construction jobs. 18,000 permanent jobs that will be created from the development. That ranges from security people to domestics to landscaping people to beekeepers even, to all sorts of different opportunities that we intend to identify as part of our strategy going forward. There, Frikkie spoke about the social housing. At the moment, 72 hectares, which is designated for a number of housing units, which Chobani and his team will increase the density to 3,000 units. And that'll be a mixture of social housing, sexual title units, very affordable and aimed at the community and the surrounding area. That's what it should look like when it's finished. And what we've done with this particular development is, which we didn't do here at Simbiti. I think we learned a lot of lessons, and I think, you know, obviously it was our first major development. We've done a number of tourism developments and so on, but what we've done here is included in the levy of every single household in Simbiti, 200 Rand as part of the levy. That 200 times 4,000 is 800,000 Rand. That will go towards the maintenance and upkeep of the security of this estate. What we've also done is we've spoken to every supplier who's involved with us, from construction to the fiber guys who've come down. And by the way, thanks Yako and your team for coming down from Joburg to be with us. The fiber guys, we spoke to them about supplying affordable internet to the community. And all the different suppliers we're busy with, we've suggested the same thing. Let's focus on creating this as a mini micro estate that the people that live here can be very proud of. This is just some of the pictures of what it'll look like. Just to speak briefly about Shift Africa, and in chatting to the Premier, we will be applying for a number of learnerships, but we also will take up the skills of people that live in the area, that have already been trained, of women and youth. So we're creating a database, which is our focus going forward, of all the people in the area, and the intention will be to match them with job opportunities and small business opportunities. There are the 8 pillars. I'm talking quite fast because there are a lot of people still to talk, but they're the 8 pillars that range from infrastructure and construction through to safety and security. And each of these pillars will create, with the help of the suppliers that are involved, an academy to train the people and mentor them, because I think that's the crucial thing in the skills upliftment process. Basically, this is how we've come up with a strategy, which is something very different, which we learned from a business we got involved with out of America, which was a business called Keller Williams, which focuses on a real estate business, which focuses on growing businesses within a business. So that's what we've done. And if I can just spend 1 minute on this, is if you look at infrastructure and construction, and if you break that down into 8 sub-businesses, and we focus on those, for example, civils, builders, electrical, and then we break each of those businesses down into 8 smaller businesses, and each of those down into 8. 8 to the power of 4 comes to 4,096, and that's our goal with Blythedale, is to create 4,096 small businesses. We already have a few examples of these small business opportunities. For example, we are in partnership with Dumisani on the nursery, and that is going to be a big business. Out of the nursery, we'll create many other small businesses and landscaping business, and the idea is that those small businesses will be mentored by people in the industry. This is quite a sad story, but it also is part of our learning over the last number of years. There was a beekeeper at Blythedale who had about 30 beehives. And he used to supply the locals with, he was an elderly gentleman, but he supplied his honey to a number of people. And what happened was, about 3 years ago, he passed away. And unfortunately, what's happened is the beehives have rotted, the bees have gone, I don't know where. But anyway, if we'd have helped him to create a business, he could have passed it on to his son or possibly sold the business. So this was a good learning curve for us. And out of this, we believe we can start about 3 or 4 beekeeping businesses just at Blythedale. There's a number of the businesses that we've identified. We have an app and a database. We've got a mechanism to collect information. We've got a website. Some of our partners that are involved, and as I say, what we're doing really is coordinating the efforts of a number of people who are already in this business and are doing incredible good work. These are some of the people that are involved with us. And that's it from my side. I know, Frikkie, do you want to introduce the next, or should we? Thanks very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark, and I think we can give him another round of applause, please. I think that's where the innovation comes from, and that's really good. Please just allow me, there's one name that we didn't recognize, a former member of national legislature, also Dumisani Gamede, that's also with us and is sitting at the table at the back. Dumisani, also we recognize you here. And he's also become quite instrumental in the project itself and helping facilitate some of the community engagement processes with us on the project, so that's quite great. We've seen the environment, we've seen the people, the triple bottom line, the economy, the people, and the environment, all three receiving the right attention in a development of this nature, so we see a good balance. But it's that maths of 8 to the 4th that sort of started to make me think maybe we are frying minds at the moment. We are moving fast. There's a lot of information that's coming through. And this is not jazz. But what is jazz is what's waiting for us on that side. So maybe if we could just have a very short interruption to give you time to get something to drink without moving around too much, but to listen. I believe that, is it Dane Francis? Dane, and he bounds. There we are. Dane, please, we ask you to just give us a little bit of that magic jazz of yours before we continue further. A short musical item, and we go back to the program. Thank you. Right. Thank you very much. I think we can give them a nice round of applause. And we will be hearing more from Dane Francis and his jazz band a little later, ladies and gentlemen, but we would like to also recognize the time pressures of our dignitaries here tonight, so we can't push this too late. And I'm sure you are also going to get hungry soon. And while you are getting your seats, I recognize the Secretary of the Interim Committee of Zwelabantu Dube Communal Property Association, Mrs. Nonhlanhla Gina. I'm not sure, I haven't seen the chairperson of the Interim Committee here. Nonhlanhla, can you indicate, is the chairperson here or not? Not. Right. Thank you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, can we then please take our seats again? As you do so, you've now seen the road traveled by eLAN Properties so far, other developments that they've undertaken. As I was listening to Mark, I couldn't help but to see some of the priorities that we hear mentioned regularly. The extent to which the fourth industrial revolution is being embraced in the project design itself. So not maybe the smart city that we've all been talking about with the commercial, big commercial, but remember there is a substantial commercial development that's going to come up in this development itself. We don't have obviously time to take you through all of it, and there will be other opportunities to do more about that. But the extent to which the youth can bring the technology for us to the table is obviously what we are interested in. Ladies and gentlemen, on the program that's left, we're going to hear quickly from the team that is running the Shift Africa component, and there are 5 groupings. Mark, am I right? So we're going to ask Mark to come up and introduce the different team leaders, and in a very short introduction, this will be very short to the point, and from there we will move then to the message of support from the Department of Higher Education and Training, and we'll deal with that later on, and then the MEC, and then the Premier. So it's not too far. from dinner time. So please bear with us. I would like to put a vision out there for you that says dinner is coming, but please bear with us for now. There's some important business between now and then. Mark, thanks.
Thanks very much. And in the interest, everybody, of getting to dinner quite quickly, because Lusanda is quite anxious that people are getting hungry and we need to eat, what I'm going to do is call up the next 5 speakers. I'll introduce them quickly, and if they could come up, then we'll run through a few slides with them just to explain what incredible work some of these guys are doing and what opportunities they're creating. And all we're doing is coordinating their efforts into our Shift Africa concept. So if I can ask Steve Carver, who his business is called You Can Grow, and he's got a few of his partners here. Chris White, the Circular Economy. Rudy Kloppers from the Wildlands Trust. Norby, if you can come up as well. And also Sibyl Chobani, if you can come up. And if we can all stand here, and we'll just run through the few slides. I need to help you run through the slides as well, so that's why I'm also standing up here. Thanks, guys. If you could come up and just give your short presentations. Thank you.
Thanks very much. My name is Steve Carver, and can I ask who's got a cell phone on them? Just raise your hand if you have a cell phone. And so what's quite exciting is that we are going through something that is radical disruption in a lot of what we do. And so what we've done is we've focused, and we're very, very proud to partner with Shift Africa, but we focus on a subject that never gets taught at school. And so we learn all sorts of subjects except the most important subject. And how many of you have children? What would you like them to do in their lives? And so the subject that never gets taught is a very simple one called how to make money. And that is what we focus on. And we use something that is almost anti-developmental. So I come from a background where we built Africa's first green university based on a concept called education that pays for itself. We paid our professors on the profits of the student-run businesses. And everyone said, please build more of these universities, and we realized we don't need Roman and Greek architecture across Africa. We need trees, and we need young, talented people with a phone, and we can teach them every day COVID-friendly. And so we assess, we moderate, and we run thousands of programs, but we do real business for real money with real young people who want to be agripreneurs, entrepreneurs. And so for us, it's a big thank you to actually be here this evening with all of you. And I can only say an enormous thank you. We are incredibly proud of being able to be associated with Shift Africa and the thinking and the vision of the power of 8. And this is how we do it. So what's the platform is a very simple one. Every day you learn. You learn when you're on the loo. You learn a little bit, and we call it nano-learning, and it's about small elements, and our pass rate is 100%. You can't go further unless you get it right and you go back. The next thing we do is we build a portfolio of evidence. Show me with a photograph that you're there, that you're doing something, and we build that portfolio of evidence. We have micro rewards and micro credit. So it works at the moment for Tabasco. We have 6,500 farmers growing export crops, Foodalisi, you name it. And it's about using technology to pull thousands of small entrepreneurs or agripreneurs. And let me tell you the truth. Small farmers don't want to stay small farmers. They want to be the mega farmers of the future. And so when you are learning every day, when you are showing a portfolio, it gives you inclusivity with traceability to export your products. And so we've taken this concept and we've said, well, what about doing that in all of the main themes of Shift Africa? Why can't we not just have farmers, but we can have amazing future construction business owners, not just the bricklayers. We can have the future designers of green technology, the new ways of thinking, and Africa has to leapfrog ahead and not be the laggards. And can I tell you, we've got proof that young people communities, and specifically, this is what the shift is about. I like to call it the leapfrog and not the laggard. So I only have a huge thank you to all of you. For me, this is actually an evening of celebration. And it is a celebration of everyone coming together and radically collaborating. So I think that shows a little bit. This is some of our micro franchises that is going to market. This is where it's not just about jobs, it's about dignity, it's about livelihoods, and it's about escaping and moving forward for small businesses, and small businesses growing to be the future big businesses. So from our side, from Information Capital, You Can Grow in the corner, we're so proud and unbelievable, thankful to be here, and it's the first time we're really dressed up. So thank you enormously.
Thank you so much, Steve, and I hope that enthusiasm rubs off on all of us, because Steve is incredible. What he's done for the 6,000 farmers and a number of other small entrepreneurs is incredible. Thank you so much, Steve. If I can ask Chris White just to talk briefly about the circular economy. I visited some of his sites where they're doing recycling and waste management. Also incredible, creating like 400 jobs out of one small recycling business. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening, everyone. So just to clarify, I'm not from circular economy. I'm about circular economy. So I'm actually from SDG Africa. My partner's over there. The reality is that we're coming into this as part of the opportunity to drive and develop the entire concept around circular economy. So I'm just going to throw you a quick 18 slides. And so basically what we want to try and look at, and of course I need to read it now, is we need to look at the impacts. So circular economy is not about resource utilization. A lot of people think that circular economy is literally another buzzword for recycling. It could not be further from the truth. The impacts, outcomes, and applications that we look at from circular economy development look at the applications and opportunities in energy, water, infrastructure, manufacturing, tourism, health, education, biodiversity. These are all sectors that have impacts and outcomes in terms of what we look at. So the requirement in terms of what we're doing with Shift Africa is not to address the waste side of things. We're looking at it holistically. So the outcomes and impacts in terms of the resources that we have available in the country and locally through our communities, and how do we unpack that to develop applications. So some of those, for example, transport. We're looking at issues around roads, road sub-base, pavements, and the basic infrastructure around roads. Now, we can do that using local waste materials. We can look at saving money. We can actually create more robust infrastructure with a lower carbon footprint using applications from technologies developed in this country. If we look at the infrastructure in terms of paths, erosion control, there's a number of different products we're developing there, from geopolymer applications. We've also created applications from what we call the ocean paver system, where we're using non-recyclable plastic waste and crushed glass, and we can create molded products that will pretty much replace any of those conventional products. At the same time, those can also go into multiple other different applications. Just go back one. On the water capture, we're also looking at capture, storage, treatment, filtration. Again, looking at local utilization, local resources, local technology and applications, what we can do from that perspective. And also energy, in addition to renewable energy. Everyone knows renewable energy. Renewable energy is fantastic. We are blessed with a lot of sun here, but we're never going to meet the full energy requirements or the baseload requirements. So from that perspective, we're looking at alternative energy applications. We're looking at gasification, pyrolysis, and other technologies that will look at taking local resources, and if we don't have them here, we will grow them here. And we can literally look at this. We're busy working with a big group in Croatia to look at taking an entire island off electricity, off fossil fuels, and we're doing the same thing with Mauritius to do that. eLAN is a microcosm of what we're looking at from that perspective. Food security is important. Some of the work we do with my Zulu wife, Untitled Chapter, from umgibe.org, how we look at trying to develop local applications that the community become the suppliers into the network. So everything from the seedlings to the vermiculture to the composting to the vegetable production to agri-processing, where you're looking at jams and fruits and juices and all those sort of things. Buildings, low carbon buildings. This is an eco estate. Our focus here is to look at using applications and opportunities that will reduce the carbon footprint of this application by up to 90% using local applications and opportunities. And then also the finishings. So we've got multiple different applications with glass and other resources to look at cladding, finishings, balustrades, decking, fencing, insulation. Each of these can become small micro elements that can become enterprise development opportunities. So just a few pictures of it. There are so many opportunities in the circular economy. It's not just about recycling. It's about utilizing resources and how we actually bring those in to replace conventional materials. Looking at that from a diversification perspective, we look at a just transition from a circular economy. And a just transition means that we bring in the communities, we educate, we empower, we transform. So looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Chris. Sorry, and I didn't mean to say that it's only about recycling. That's one small part that I've been involved with, but it's a much bigger picture than that. Next, we've got Rudy Kloppers. I've been very privileged to work with Rudy and his predecessor, Dr. Andrew Fenter, for many, many years. And I think what Rudy's doing and some of the opportunities that he's got, maybe you can touch on those, will definitely impact the Ilembe region massively. So, Rudy, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mark. You can go straight to the next slide. Good evening, everybody. We do simple stuff. Both previous speakers had lovely stuff like innovative, new technology, and I think that's the value of this partnership, is that as an organization, the Wild Trust, we do simple stuff, and we'd like to partner to see how we can use clean tech and the new technologies that are out there to improve what we do and create businesses and uplift these communities. So that's sort of a list of stuff we do, right? It's very basic stuff. Ecological restoration, fancy words, what it basically means is we take out of the environment what shouldn't be there, the waste and the invasive alien plants, and we put back what should be there, our indigenous trees, our natural mangroves, etc. And we do all of this through projects that involve communities. In most areas where we work, and we've done a lot of work with the KZN government, we get communities to grow the trees at their homestead levels, and then trade those trees back to us, immediately creating jobs, immediately creating opportunities for people to participate in our projects. And we call them entrepreneurs. And there's tons of them out in the province growing trees actively that we trade back. And we'd like to bring that type of thinking into the project here in Blythedale. I'm not going to go into the rest. You can swap 2 slides because I know we're pressured for time. But I just wanted to stick to this. Knowing that our biggest problem in this country is really our youth unemployment, we are really focusing on youth at the moment. And government has got this amazing program called the Youth Employment Services Program. And next slide, please, Mark. We've been very fortunate to work with some massive corporates that have taken on this idea of the employment tax incentives and the benefits that it creates for corporate organizations, realizing that we need to upskill our youth. And at the moment, we've got over 1,000 young people actively participating in our projects. And the main focus of our project is called New Venture Creation. So everybody that goes through the project is taught to be entrepreneurial, taught to use the stuff we do, the simple technologies, to create businesses. And I think that really is where we see the market in Blythedale, to be able to absorb those businesses, absorb these people into the future. Very, very keen to partner and to get this stuff going. So thank you very much for having us here. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Rudy. And the thing that really excites me, amongst others that Rudy's doing, he's getting access to lots of overseas funding and so on, which really excites us a lot. But the Entrepreneur Program, imagine having 200 or 300 households in the Ilembe, Kwadakuza area, all growing trees that we have an uptake for at Blythedale. We've got 4,000 houses coming up. You know, each house is going to require a number of trees. So immediately those 100 or 200 or 300 small businesses that we create and assist in growing trees, we can buy them from them. So we immediately assist that household in creating some income. And this is a program that Rudy and them have been working on for a number of years. It's been very successful. So thanks very much, Rudy. We're also very pleased to be associated with you guys. Next, Sibyl Chobani from the Department of Higher Education and Training. Very privileged that she's joined us from Pretoria, Joburg, Pretoria, both for tonight. And I think there's so many opportunities to partner with them in skills development. So, Sibyl, maybe you can just give us a few words. Thank you very much.
Okay. of us are vertically challenged, so we need to make adjustments. I'm here representing both the ladies as well as those who are still making their way up. Good evening, everybody. I would like to acknowledge the Premier, the two MECs who are here from Transport and Social Development, the Mayor of eLAN, the members of Parliament, and other dignitaries, and align myself with the protocol. I'm particularly excited to be here this evening because when we first heard about this initiative, it fits very much in line with the work that we are currently doing to assist and contribute to the recovery of the economy that has been so badly impacted by the COVID pandemic. And when we first heard about this initiative, we were thinking more along the lines of, okay, when you think about property development, you're thinking about a construction initiative. But the more we have been learning about what Shift Africa's vision is, we realize that it actually fits in very nicely and aligns very well with the work that we are doing as the Department of Higher Education to try and ensure and support initiatives and ensure that skills are not going to be a constraint to the delivery of these visions that have been articulated here. Every time I hear more about the work that has been done on the Blythedale development, and I hope some of you have been able to go and visit it, it's a very spectacular property. It looks very beautiful. But it's also very nice to be on the ground and be able to see this vision and what is going to emerge from this currently undeveloped site into this development that is being represented here. From the Department of Higher Education's point of view, there are obviously particular ways in which we are able to support this. I'm happy to hear that the CETAs are very well represented here this evening, as well as the TVET colleges and other institutions. But in addition to that, I think one of the messaging that is coming through in here is about ensuring that as government, we're also going to be able to be flexible and responsive in the ways that we assist with initiatives like this. And when I hear about the part qualifications, the micro programs and so on, those are some of the ways in which we're trying to say, how do we, as the PSET system, as the post-schooling system, how do we reflect on ourselves and say, can we do things better? Can we do things in a much more responsive and timely way to accommodate the developments and changes that are working? The world of work is no longer the same, and we can't keep doing business as usual. And therefore, one of the commitments that we have made is to support this initiative. We are working from, I think from about 4 or 5 weeks ago, with the Shift Africa team, and we are really here today to represent Didi Jimvalo, who was unfortunately unable to make it, to say we are with you. We will do what we can. We've already been receiving information to say in our planning, please ensure that this is included in the provisions that you're making, both from a funding point of view, from the types of programs that are going to be needed, and also to ensure that our systems and our protocols are going to be accommodative of those needs. So thank you very much, and we look forward to this partnership going forward.
Thank you so much, Sibyl, and it's been very refreshing to have Sibyl's input. We met a few weeks ago, and I think there's so much synergy in working with them and the ideas that they share with us. So we're learning all the time as we go along. Thanks again for coming down, Sibyl. We really appreciate your presence here. And last but not least, from our team's point of view, Norbert Duma, who I first met about 2 years ago in the back of a boot at McDonald's in Mshanga when we were what's the highest level of COVID? And we started this whole process. We met clandestinely at McDonald's in Mshanga, and Nobi has been working frantically with his team that are represented here to assist in engaging with the CETAs and various other institutions to find the funding and the skills partners that we need to partner with us at Blythedale. So Norby, thanks for all your help, and to your team that have worked very hard tonight. Thank you, Tando and the team. Thanks, Bawu. Thanks, guys. And then over to you. Thank you.
Evening, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Premier and Honorable MEC and all protocol observed. Like Mike have said, my name is Ngobe Duma. We are part of Shift Africa through the entity Umthombo Wireless. This is the team, Umthombo Wireless team seated here on this table here that I've been hardly working with to engage basically different entities in the skills development, because when we approached Mark, and we were glad for him to embrace us, where we sat down and said, how are you going to implement all of these, and in terms of human capital? And how are you going to implement it if that human capital is not employable? Then we started engaging and said, look, let's look at making sure that the human capital that you're going to use in this estate is actually employable in terms of training. But for that to happen, we need potential funders. But let's be realistic what is happening in our country now in terms of our key economic and social dynamics. I'm not going to go through all of it because of time. We could, in terms of the poverty, unemployment, lack of economic opportunities, especially for young women in South Africa, more than 39% of young people aged 15 and are unemployed. Women even face higher level of unemployment, which is 39%. And KZN alone shows a higher level of youth unemployment. And for that, this is what other political economists have called the ticking time bomb. We have seen that happening, that ticking time bomb, because they became a threat to the national security in terms of unrest and looting, because people didn't have jobs, people were not trained. Now, the question, if you go to the next slide, Mark, to the next one. Yeah. Now, we need to look at how do we address currently the impact of COVID-19 and pandemic, and the unemployment rate will rise very sharply because of the COVID. Small businesses will be the solution to our challenges, but small businesses on their own have their own challenges. We're looking at the current moment, 1 in 2 workers, 53.7%, are employed in cyclical sectors, which is the manufacturing. The remaining 46.3, which is the semi-cycle sector, which is finance. Can you go to the next slide, Mark? Now, our government has pledged to boost economy growth by 5% by 2023. This analysis was done way before arrival of COVID-19. And now we have an estimated population of about what, 58 million in our country. 30% of that are younger than 15 years and will enter the labor market. These factors, coupled with COVID-19, suggest that any viable solution to the unemployment crisis will need to include significant re-evaluation of current skills development. Ladies and gentlemen, especially engaging the sitters, we need to look at skills development as a national priority and skills of the future, not just any skills, the skills of the future. The global drivers of change are happening currently as we speak. We've got the pandemic, we've got the economic meltdown, we've got the industrial revolution. All of those things need to be incorporated in skills development, not just for any skills development, the skills for the future. We actually presenting the concept, the project that is able to address all of those. Just to highlight some of the green skills that we'll be looking at, not only just to name but the few. These are basically some of the scarce and critical skills within the green space. Remember, the Blythedale estate, it's an eco-friendly estate in terms of energy and water. It will be self-sufficient. So basically there's going to be a lot of green skills that will be needed within the estate. Our overall objective within the estate, what are we trying to achieve in terms of skills development within the estate? We're looking at targeting, firstly, the proposition is that this whole skills development initiative is actually linked to a current existing 16 billion rand property development invested in the project that we are talking about. Already there is a project that is in place, which has invested 16 billion rand to actually absorb the number of people that could be trained and have an exit strategy in terms of employment, in terms of enterprise development. 80% of the 25,000 personnel will be placed on permanent real jobs. Mark did mention security, hospitality, you name it. Those will be permanent employed. We're looking at incubating about 4,000 small businesses within the estate. Those small businesses will have contract with the estate. Contract in terms, the estate will have a beach resort. A beach resort will need what? Cutlery and all of that. We need to train our people around the estate to be suppliers of the estate with contract. As long as the estate is there, those SMMEs will become the suppliers of the estates. To the next slide, ma'am. The specific objective, like we've said, go back, Mark. One of the specific objectives, if I were to mention, we're looking at reducing heavy dependence from government in terms of grants, e.g. UIF and social grant. We want people to self-sustain themselves, not to wait for 350 at the end of the month. The beneficiaries in terms of the stipend, which will lead into increased economy of the community. Because as you pay the learners the stipend, that stipend will be used within the community in terms of buying power, in terms of transport and all of that, which increases the economy of the community. Next slide, Mark. What are the beneficiaries? What are we looking at? We're looking at to train about 5,000 unemployed learners per annum for 5 years. 5,000 per annum for 5 years. Our intake, we're looking at 60% females, 40% males, 5% disabled, 90% youth. And also we're looking at taking graduate, which is the most critical part in this, in fact, the challenges in our country, the graduate. We're looking at also using this project to employ graduate, to employ interns, expose them in the labor market. The next slide, Mark. The proposed beneficiaries on skills development, which also will be addressing the KZN, the Department of Social Development mandate in terms of, we're looking at training vulnerable and poor communities residing at informal settlement around Palito, victims of gender-based violence, child support grants, youth existing within the DSD development database, which we have actually got hold of at the moment, youth exiting foster care, out of school youth from drug rehabilitation program. They are our responsibility, because if we don't, we're basically saying to them, go back there. Project benefit, like we have stated, short-term employment, especially on the procurement and expenditure during construction. Also, the SMMEs that will be developed. We're also looking for those SMMEs to be suppliers during the construction phase. Green economy programs, linking them to the other gateways that will ensure the sustainable outcome and business growth. Right. These are some of the envisaged partnership with the KZN Department of Social Development. Building stronger relationship between government and private sector, basically the private-public partnerships, which is basically a regulated document. Centralizing meaningful training for private sector, partnership that is in line with the KZN development youth policy. Mind you, what we're basically trying to achieve, it's in line with the Department of Social Development policy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's recap a bit. What is it that we are talking about? What are we putting in place, and what is our request? As Shift Africa and Umthombo, this is what we are putting in place. Property developer, it's eLAN property. Project work placement, guaranteed work placement and employment. Blythdale Coastal Estate. The project trainees, we're looking at about training 25,000 learners. Permanent jobs, 18 to 20,000 people that will be employed. Temporary jobs of construction, 110,000 jobs. SMMEs, 4,000. Investment, 16 billion rand. The project duration, 15 years. Our request to our potential funders, the public funders, which will be the SETAs, the private sector, we are requesting you to become on board to be a partner in this project. We are requesting you as SETAs to look beyond your funding model. We understand that SETAs have their own funding model. Let's look beyond that funding model. Let's look at us bringing the integrity to an individual, the self-respect and attitude to each and every individual. Our request is that for us to address the issues of economic recovery, the construction recovery plan, we are requesting the SETAs to contribute to what we called and what we have developed one pot. In this pot where the private and private sector will contribute whatever amount that they will contribute, overlooking their funding model as we have requested, then from that pot, we'll be able to develop programs that will lead to employment, job security, enterprise development, and dignity to our people. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the battle against poverty is one that we cannot afford to lose. Again, I'll repeat. The battle against poverty is one that we cannot afford to lose. It's up to you how you interpret it without me giving you the content. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Ngobi, and your team for the incredible work that you've put in over the last 2 years. I mean, it's been phenomenal. Ngobi's been backwards and forwards to Joburg. But I think, just in summary, before I hand back to Frikkie, the basis of all of this, the basis to the success of Shift Africa and everything else, is the success of the catalytic project, presidential catalytic project known as Blythedale Coastal Estate. That is core to all of this happening. And as much as it's maybe an upmarket estate that is demographically represented by the country's demographics, by the way, as to the buyers in that project, the success of all of this relates to the success of Blythedale Coastal Estate. So we're really happy and privileged that the Premier, the MEC Khoza are present, and a number of other dignitaries, that you can see that the effort that all these partners that we're putting in, that we're pulling together, is phenomenal. The guys are working incredibly hard, but we're trying to pull them together into a coordinated effort, and that's the intention and the objective of Shift Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark, to you and the team, Ngobi in particular, at the end, wrapping it all up for us together. We really appreciate that. That's great. Wary of our time, we need to push on, but ladies and gentlemen, I think you all agree with me that what we endured during the COVID period, and I refer to it as the July 21 event in our province, which I'm sure none of us are proud of, is that a number of issues come at risk or come into the focus area. Number one, obviously, immediately you can see the economy, but you can see the problems that emerge from there. It unfortunately also has a lot of other spin-offs and negative unintended consequences. And I think our social cohesion programs and social cohesion drive was really tested also at that stage. And in some areas, I think it failed. In some areas, it stood up. And therefore, a program like this, as I've been listening here, is really, we talk about issues of transformation so easily. This is transformation, again, in action. Something that happens around it. Which also reminds me of my interpretation of transformation. You know, you get two types of transformation. One, or of social cohesion in transformation. One, where we endure one another. We are being polite to one another. The other one is where we embrace one another. And you've got to decide which one you want to see in action. I see here an embracing of people coming together, doing it not just because it is a popular thing to do, but because it's the right thing to do for all of us. So I think let's give them another warm round of applause. Now, we have an apology from MEC Peggy Nkonyeni, our MEC for Transport and Community Safety. She unfortunately could not make it. So we move on to our MEC Ungqongqoshe wethu Ntambama, our MEC for Social Development, MEC Khoza. By the way, a chairperson of the Portfolio Committee that I reported to some time ago. It's very nice to invite you to the podium. MEC, please.
Greetings to yourself, Mr. Brooks, who's the program director for today. I can see that as much as you have retired but you are not tired. The Honorable Premier, Mr. Sihle Zikalala, together with his spouse, Umama Unelisiwe Zikalala, the First Lady of the province of KwaZulu-Natal. It's a pleasure to have you, First Lady, with us here. To members of Parliament, the Honorable Fikile Masiko from National Parliament, the Honorable Zinhle Cele and Honorable Phumlile Zulu, the former member, Honorable Dumisani Kamete, our district mayor, Mayor Shandu. I understand that there's a deputy mayor as well. To our Inkosi Dube, greetings Inkosi. We appreciate your being here. To Mark Taylor, Mr. Msimang and their teams, it is highly appreciated. Let me put myself on a safer side because my list is endless. There are very much important people around this house. But before that, to our DDG, Mrs. Mhlongo, who's leading all officials from different government departments, I greet you all in the name of Christ. And I said I want to put myself on a safe side in saying the protocol is observed because we have got very important stakeholders with us here. It is one of those important days in our lives as well. We are over the moon that finally this day has come and we are standing here saying all has been done and all is well. It is up to our generation to demand that leaders from government, business, and communities fulfill their commitments and take action to better the lives for all. We have converged in this important gala dinner today to make history as we hold hands as the public and private sector to change the lives of the most unfortunate young people. I don't want to mention young people only. Recently, Honorable Premier, I've been asked, what do you say as government about the above the 35 years, but below 60? So we want to attract those sectors as well. Since the dawn of democracy, the ANC-led government has been working hard with all sectors of society to deepen the national democratic revolution in favor of blacks in general and Africans in particular. Side by side with the people, we have been implementing programs and policies to achieve the ideal of a South Africa which is united, non-racial, equal, democratic, and prosperous. Despite the prophets of doom who see everything wrong, but we are soldiering on. Under the leadership of the Honorable Premier, we are doing that. In fact, the Premier has just the vision, the eyesight of where to go as government. And Tina, as MECs, we implement. We are sniffing dogs who sniff. Even we were able to found the eLAN Foundation because we are sniffers of where there are opportunities. We need to be there. That's what we are doing, Honorable Premier, and we are committed to that as different departments. And you cannot go wrong under the Premier. Oh, Premier is watching us. Give us that space to do whatever we can do and even go beyond. We highly appreciate your support, Honorable Premier. That's what we are doing as of now. We are in position to do whatever we are given to do, but without the support of eLAN Foundation, we couldn't be here. eLAN Foundation, they come towards us. We said, why not? Why don't we open our arms and grab the opportunity? That's why we are here today. We grabbed that opportunity with both hands in saying we want to see our communities developed. In saying we want them to be developed, we said we should not create more of job seekers, but job creators. We were looking for that. And they came to us and provided exactly that. You have seen, honorable members, you have seen a number of opportunities which are there. Let us grab these opportunities. Once they have knocked, the opportunity has knocked on your doorsteps, just grab them with both hands. We are hopeful that our students from all youth academies, we are going to trace them. We have begun to trace them back in saying, during this year, we produced this number of the students. Where are they and what are they doing? I so wish there was a number of business people to listen to what the eLAN Foundation has offered to us, because we would love to get more of this, of the business people who might come to our way. We train our youth in different skills, especially skills which are in line with the building, which are in line with electricity and all opportunities. So we are looking forward for those skills to be mentored, to be nurtured, so that they see themselves out of poverty. Finally, we would love to see everyone getting a sustainable job at the end of the day, because we might talk of job opportunities, but if they do not give and reflect to sustainability, we might find us losing the focus. For us as social development, we are saying you don't have a dustbin to put a person. So we have that opportunity given by our Premier, have that opportunity to give our youth second chance in life. We are dealing with those youth who have been in conflict with the law, those youth who have been victims of gender-based violence. We are dealing with a number of youth, but giving them a second chance in life. That's what we are doing as of now, but we want to say other people who would love to extend a hand towards us. So for us to make this dream a reality. As of now, there will be more opportunities by the look of things. And social development, we highly appreciate what you do. Recently, we had a gathering for social workers. I said to myself, social workers are the people who are working with the most vulnerable. And the social worker deal with a child who is more vulnerable and who has been exposed to a number of atrocities. So this work you have done, eLAN Foundation, will make ease to the work which is done by our social workers, because our social workers become mothers and fathers of those vulnerable groups. So today we have at least an extended arm from our eLAN Foundation to have a partner like you who have extended an arm to be mothers and fathers.
Just gonna get this.
Oh. You have extended your arm to be mothers and fathers of the most vulnerable. I couldn't see that the mic is off, but fortunately my voice is I don't know, it's a shop steward voice or a rally voice. That is the unfortunate part about everything. But to me, I want to welcome the Honorable Premier The Honorable Premier does not need any introduction. We know the Honorable Premier from what he's been doing. Especially, he excelled when he was in ETIA. He made us know what ETIA is doing and was more biased towards the vulnerable, the most vulnerable. That's our Premier, the Honorable Sihle Zikalala. No wonder we have him as the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal. Thank you. Up to you, Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Program Director, Mr. Freaky Brooks. Angazi noma usekhona ubaba Gamede. Okay, uyabona ke njengoba ubaba Gamede ekhombisa ukuthi usekhona. Kusho ukuthi ngiyezwakala a bit. Thank you, Program Director, Mr. Freaky Brooks, MEC for Social Development in KwaZulu-Natal, MEC Khoza, Inkosi Yesizwe, Inkosi uDube, Nzwakele, siyabingelela Nkosi Yesizwe. Sibonge kakhulu ukukhona bakho Nkosi Yesizwe. The Mayor of Ilembe, Chobani Shandu, the Deputy Mayor of Mandeni Local Municipality, Mr. Magwaza, eLAN Foundation, Mike Taylor. We wish to greet you, Mike. Thank you. May I also greet Chobani Msimanga, Sibonge, members of the legislature and members of National Parliament, the Deputy Director General, Mrs. Mhlongo, and the entire team from Social Development, Ngiyanibingelela nonke. You are all equal, but some are more equal than the others. I'm sure you will know that. Mr. Moshe Mutlong from Transnet, and I wish to join the MEC. In fact, this is the event of dignitaries. So we are in a space where we just need to say, we wish to greet all of you with humbleness and respect. Fellow colleagues, there is no day that is as fulfilling as when we witness progress and success, not only of individuals, but of the nation as a whole. I say this because I can assert that this project will change the landscape of Ilembe, but the KwaZulu-Natal and South Africa. We're meeting at a time when the global world is facing serious challenges, challenges we have not seen before. Nobody ever predicted that there will be COVID-19. Nobody ever thought of a war in quite an advanced age of the world. All of this has befallen us as generations that are currently living in the globe. We need to find a way of mitigating these issues, but worse with South Africa, where you have a society that is characterized by the triple challenge of unemployment, inequality,